Okay, everybody, we're getting started early, as we always do. It's a couple minutes early, and you're welcome to Saturday Fantasy Baseball. I am the Roto Lady, otherwise known as Andrea L. And today, we're going to talk about some spring training standouts and some late round draft targets. And when I'm talking late rounds, I'm in round 33 of 50 of a draft and hold league over at NFBC, where I play now pretty much exclusively with the experts. So let's see. I also play at Fantrax, of course, because we have our home leagues, our chat room leagues that we love so much that are best ball, where we have 3 of them this year. And we finished one slow draft, and we're in the midst of 2 slow drafts right now. But I'm really loving these late picks, because you do need to find some late targets for these 50-round drafts. Boy, does it get shallow. So let me have a sip of my coffee, and we're just waiting for the sound to come through the chat room, and that's when we go ahead and get ready with Saturday Fantasy Baseball. But that's how we do it here. As effed up as it seems, that's how we do it, okay? So we're just waiting for the sound to come through. And, of course, I'm joined by my biggest supporter and PR man, Lenny Melnick. Say hi, Leonard.
Hello, everybody.
Okay, you said hello. Now we're live. See how it works? You just get Leonard to say hello, and we go live. So welcome aboard. Tell him in the chat.
Welcome aboard.
No, sound is good.
Oh, sound is good. Okay.
I said to tell him in the chat room.
I know. I'm telling you in the chat.
Oh, they can't hear you, Leonard. Okay, anyway, here we go. Sound is good. Let's get started. We have a lot to cover today. So, welcome aboard to all my friends. George Hubspin is here. Eddie and Teresa Heckman, Data Premier, Chris Gallo, Chris from Cambridge. What do you think about that Votto signing up there, Chris? James K., our Wisconsin fan, Milwaukee Brewer fan. Leonard Donaldson, our Houston insider. We have SM King Turd, our Texas Rangers insider. We got the wonderful Malpal down in San Diego, our Padres insider. We also have Stephen Hart here today. Great to see you back, Stephen. Nice to have you aboard. Did I miss? I think I missed a couple. Rotorius, nice to see you. Of course, Lenny. Tommy Johnson, one of our great, most positive people on the internet. Tommy Johnson started a new job the other day. Hope it's going well for you, dude. Yeah, Votto agrees to a minor league deal with the Toronto Blue Jays. You know, he's not guaranteed a spot on this team. It's so interesting because this team, I didn't put the depth chart in here, but they don't need a first baseman. And he did hit 14 homers in 65 games last season, but his batting average was the worst ever, 202. There's really no clear path to playing time in Toronto, which is my point here. But especially, like I said, they don't need a first baseman. Also, they have Daniel Vogelbach and Spencer Horwitz competing right now for a left-handed DH pinch hitting role on the bench, which is bottom of the barrel, okay? I don't know. Votto is, I'm definitely not talking about Votto in a bad way. He's one of the great veterans of the game. I'm very disappointed that the Reds couldn't find a spot for this guy, okay? Joey Votto seems to think he can still bang. His words, not mine. He's healthy, and he does expect to start the season in the minors for the Buffalo Bisons. Rotorius says Votto is trash. I don't know what that means, like personally, or is he trash with his baseball skills, or what do you mean by that? And he is a clubhouse presence, I believe. I think he's great for any clubhouse. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if people have a bad view of him. The media has not been nice to him during his career for the most part. So he just wants to be playing. That's what Chris from Cambridge says, and I agree. I wish he would have taken a manager job or something, in anything that he could have done to stay in Cincinnati. He's been there for so long. I just don't like to see a guy not retire. Like, I know that he still wants to play, but his skills are dwindling, okay? And these guys, it's hard for them to accept the fact that they're not as good as they used to be. He knows he's not as good as he used to be, but to continue playing and all it does is drag down your career stats. And I just wish he went into coaching or something for the Reds. I wish he would have stayed. But speaking of the Reds, oh, good grief. Here we go. Lucky for me, I got this bit of lovely news. Everybody knows about it. I'm not breaking news here. Noelvi Marte, 80 games suspended for PEDs. Boldenone is the one he was testing positive for. Now, the Rays lineup now with Marte suspended for PED violations is probably first base Candelario, DH now Encarnacion Strand. These two will probably trade off DH and first base. And then you have Jonathan India, who Lenny's been drafting all over the place. And I swear, every time I question Lenny drafting a player like Kikuchi or India, I just hold my breath because it usually turns out that he was right. Okay, there you go. Second base now is Jonathan India, who I'm sure the Reds are very pleased that they did not trade. Do you need... Okay, have a drink, Leonard. All right.
Okay.
Shortstop McLean. Third base, the wonderful and talented Ellie De La Cruz. Center field, TJ Friedel, who I've been drafting all over the place. And right field, Will Benson. That was the case beforehand. Catcher Stevenson. Holding on to all of their infielders is absolutely paying off right now. I also think that so I went to King Turd today because I know he's a huge Noelvi Marte fan. I haven't been drafting or targeting this guy in any of my leagues. His current ADP is 166. He's projected now, after the PED suspension, to bat 274 with 7 home runs, 30 RBIs, and 11 stolen bases and 34 runs. So that has changed drastically. Turd says he could still do 70-70. Tell us what you told me in the message in a message this morning, Turd. Gosh, I'm having a hard time getting my words out. Let me just have...
Michael Johnson is here.
Michael Johnson, whoop-de-doo, and Katie Little. You two live such a fun life. I see you all the time. Wait, is that Michael Johnson or
That's the guy.
is that MJ that we know and love?
And Katie Little. You're right.
Okay, and Katie Little. Alrighty. Turd says to just ignore Marte. Full fade, 100% fade. Nobody wants him anymore. That's true. 80 games, though. 80 games. That's a half of a season. I don't know. Are you sure you still fade this guy? I mean, look, I'm in 33 of 50 rounds in this other league. And I know, obviously Noelvi Marte was drafted before any of this went down. But if you're starting any of these really deep draft and hold leagues, I would consider drafting Noelvi at some point. But I don't really know when it's too early, okay? I don't really know. I haven't really put a lot of thought into this. But what I have put some thought into is Jake Fraley, who is the 28-year-old outfielder for the Reds, and I believe now he will have an opportunity to get more playing time. He was a platoon outfielder in his 2 years so far with Cincinnati. He spent time on the injured list last season. He had wrist and toe injuries. He needed surgery in October to repair these injuries, and he's fully ready for the start of spring training. So far this spring, in 13 at-bats, he has 1 stolen base, 2 caught stealing. I don't like seeing that, but he's batting .385. 279 ADP here. Who's that?
Irwin.
Okay. I'll let Irwin get a pass on this one. 250 batting average. This is his projection for the season. 250 batting average, 15 homers, 15 stolen bases, and he's ADP 279. Deep drafts, hop on Jake Fraley. That's my opinion. Spencer Jones, another one to look at. This is a youngster. Today we're going to talk about lots of great spring training stars, okay, to target late in your drafts. This is not one of them, but he is having a great spring. His name is Spencer Jones. He's a 22-year-old outfielder for the New York Yankees. He's currently in Double-A, so he's probably not going to be up for a while, if at all, right? But he's had 91 pitches this spring, and he has swung and missed at none of them. This guy is 6'6", lefty, all right? He was the number 25 overall pick in 2022. He hasn't really had any aggressive assignments. He's only played 17 games at Double-A. He's 22 years old, 337 in Dynasty, but he's having a good spring. What about the fact that Dave Roberts came out and not only just said it, but actually did it? This Gavin Lux cannot play shortstop. He's moving back to second base. He just is making it way too much work for Freddie Freeman. He doesn't have a good arm. He's not being punished. He's absolutely going to be in the lineup. They love what he does offensively, but they cannot have him at shortstop as a liability. Now, like I said, he's still going to get in the lineup, not because he's a lefty. The Dodgers have a lot of lefties in their lineup. They do not need him because he's a lefty. They like him in the lineup. So, Roberts said there will be some times when Mookie Betts moves to second base and Lux will sit against left-handed pitching, but it won't be a platoon thing on a regular basis. Just a couple weeks ago, their general manager, Brandon Gomes, he said Gavin Lux would absolutely be the club's everyday shortstop. But this is the second spring in a row where they presumed that he would start to get better at shortstop, and he just hasn't made it out of spring training, okay? He's 26 years old, former top prospect, coming off a torn ACL that he suffered last spring. He experienced his throwing issues again, and look, he had his best offensive season so far in his career last year in 2022. But Mookie did call him on the phone and said, "Look, dude, we're still going to be next to each other in the infield. It's me and you," basically, kind of giving him the little pep talk that he probably needs right now. Let's talk about Wyatt Langford. Right, turd? Wyatt Langford. I know you have a man crush on this guy. Everybody does. Calm your expectations for this guy. I love to follow Derek Carty. He's the guy that does the bat projection system. He's like the only one I know in fantasy that doesn't get all crazy about prospects. I mean, he has a real reserved mindset about how to treat prospects, and he talked about Wyatt Langford doing the same thing this spring that we saw from Jordan Walker and a couple other guys. He says for every one of these guys, for every one of these hyped up prospects that turns out good, like turns into a Tatis or an Acuna or whatever the first season, there's 3 that don't. Wyatt Langford, he said, I can't remember the other batter that he compared him to, but remember Jordan Walker? Let's just talk about him for a second. His spring training was excellent, blah, blah, blah. And I know, there's so many of you listening to this show right now that are like, yeah, but Wyatt Langford this, Wyatt Langford that. I know Wyatt Langford. He's so exciting. He's super good, whatever. I just don't trust these youngsters. He's 22 years old, prospect. He's going to be coming up. He's got 2 home runs, last weekend. 2 home runs on Saturday, another home run. He's just hitting the ball like crazy, right? Turd. He says that Wyatt Langford is a Mike Trout bat without the speed. Jordan Walker was changing defensive positions, and that always affects guys. Well, okay, but you get my point, right? You get my point. Turd loves him. I knew he would. Well, how can you blame him? I mean, the Texas Rangers are too exciting with all their prospects and their youngsters. The Rangers are just a fun team, right? So are the Reds. Couple teams out there that have all these youngsters. It's just an exciting time, right? Good morning to Eddie. Good morning to Teresa. Okay, he says that, oh, this is a good one. Turd says Wyatt Langford will greatly outperform Luis Robert this year. Lenny, what do you have to say about that?
Whoa.
GM, okay, Atlanta Braves. Alex Anthopoulos on how signing players isn't just about on-field talent. It's about finding the right personalities and the right attitudes. And he is just raving about Chris Sale, his impact and his presence in the clubhouse. And he's not having a bad spring, dude. Sale. All right, I shouldn't say dude too much. All right, well, Ken Rosenthal says and wrote a piece about how teams need to start valuing availability as much as performance for pitchers because injuries are getting out of hand. And my response to that is, I wonder when these injuries started. Is it when you started promoting that the faster you throw, the better you are? Or is it when you started treating pitchers like little wussies and telling them that they can't throw more than a certain amount of innings and they need to be, so easy on their arms so they don't get hurt? I swear that's causing more injuries, okay? That's my opinion. All right? That's my opinion. Also, when you're telling a pitcher that 100 miles an hour is a great pitcher, but 92 miles an hour is not a great pitcher, then that's what they do. They throw their arms out. I mean, to me, it's just common sense, but what do I know? I'm no expert. Taijuan Walker. I am an expert on Taijuan Walker. I've had him on fantasy teams for the past 15 years. Just kidding. Probably the last 8 years, though. I don't know how long he's been around, but I've had him. I've looked at him. I've studied him. He is not worth drafting this year, and that's all there is to it. He is going to make his spring debut today against Toronto. The original plan was for him to throw live batting practice, but Rob Thompson says that they've switched gears because he feels so good. He's just going to be thrown out there. Now, his ground ball rate is horrible. His strikeout rate has become horrible. He is not a good pitcher anymore. Just pass him up. Don't draft him just because his name is Taijuan Walker. And you know, if you've been listening to me for a while, you will know for sure that I used to be a Taijuan Walker fan. I was for years. Late in drafts, he was always good ADP, but his skills have gone downhill bigly. Kevin Gausman. Now, he is a bit behind this spring. The Jays scratched him from a throwing session on Monday. He's dealing with general fatigue, right? But don't worry about it because the manager, John Schneider, says that the Jays were hopeful to have their ace working off a mound again by Monday. Also, you know, the San Francisco Giants hired Bob Melvin as their manager. I don't know for sure if this is a great fit. Bob Melvin decided that he's going to make the Giants stand for the national anthem. I freaking love this. I know there's plenty of people out there that could care less about the national anthem, but San Francisco was one of the teams where their last manager, Greg Kapler, was perfectly fine with all this crap about kneeling and BLM and all this nonsense. He even allowed the San Francisco Giants to stay in the locker room while the national anthem was being sang. I don't know if that was just to keep them from kneeling. No, because San Francisco was all behind this stuff. Oh, blah, blah. Now they have Bob Melvin, and Bob Melvin is saying, you better get your ass out there and stand at attention for the national anthem. I do not like when players kneel, but you know, it's your right. That's what we have in this country. It's freedom of choice. You can stand, you can do whatever, but kudos to Bob Melvin. We'll see how that goes over in San Francisco. Probably some of the most liberal city in the country. Now, I was thinking that Trevor Bauer was going to pitch against the Dodgers, but it turns out he's not pitching against the Dodgers. He's pitching against their minor league team, and it's actually going to be played in one of the backfields at Camelback Ranch. He's unlikely to pitch against anybody prevalent from the Dodgers roster. I certainly wish I was down in Arizona right now. And this Breeze, the Japanese Breeze team that he signed with, they're actually, their home base is in Phoenix. So we'll see what happens. You're going to see Trevor Bauer traveling around the country playing against minor league teams. He did not choose to sign in Japan this year. He must have some idea that he could, if he continues to try, he'll get signed by MLB. I don't know why he didn't just sign in Japan. They love him there. He seemed to do a great job there. The fans like him. His fellow pitchers like him. Anyway, Trevor Bauer will not be pitching against the Dodgers today. He'll be pitching against the Dodgers minor league team in the backfield of Camelback Ranch, and that's exactly where I will be, okay? Now we're going to do something here. We're going to talk about the spring training standouts. This is derived from an article at The Athletic from Jim Bowden, a guy we follow very closely. He talked about a spring training standout from every MLB team, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but I went through all of them. I'm not going to tell you about all of them because some of these aren't going to be fantasy relevant this year, no matter how good they do in the spring. Turn. You're going to love this one, okay?
Kenny Flammia.
Oh, God.
And the Hartsons are here.
Both the Hartson brothers. Welcome aboard to Mitchell and Merrill. Welcome aboard to Kenny Flammia. We're all doing... And Big Al on the prowl. Great to see you too, my friend. Okay. Here we go. A.J. Smith-Shawver, right-handed pitcher for the Atlanta Braves, 21 years old, 205, 6'3", the Braves' best pitching prospect. Last year, you remember he made it to the majors. He made 5 starts and 1 relief appearance at 20 years old. Because he did so good in the minors, he posted a 2.76 ERA over 15 starts in the minors with 79 strikeouts in 62 innings. His command and his control are his biggest issues. That's like a broken record because that's clearly all youngsters' biggest issues. But the management is raving. Alex Anthopoulos, president of baseball operations, talking about how he's improving thanks to adjustments with his delivery, that he'll probably start the season at AAA. But he will definitely be back in the majors. And when we hear that he will probably start the season at AAA, it kind of gives a little clarity to the starting rotation for the Braves. Because as far as I knew up till now, it was Reynaldo Lopez, Bryce Elder, and A.J. Smith-Shawver all competing for the number 5 spot. Well, Bryce Elder did a good job last year for the Braves. He wasn't phenomenal, and he definitely wasn't bad. Pitched with a sub-4 ERA. And then they actually hired Reynaldo Lopez this offseason and paid him a decent amount of money to come and be a starter for them. So now all of a sudden, Bryce Elder and Reynaldo Lopez are the two that are competing for the number 5 spot in the rotation. Now, I draft Bryce Elder over Reynaldo Lopez. That's just me. But according to the news, the contract, why did they go out and get Reynaldo Lopez if they didn't plan on using him? And he said, they signed him as a starting pitcher. Still, there's a competition going on for the number 5 spot in the Atlanta Braves rotation. Starling Marte hasn't played more than 120 games in a season since 2019. You know this is the Mets right fielder, age 35. That's his biggest downfall. Last year, he batted .248 with a .301 on-base percentage, 5 home runs, and 24 stolen bases in 28 attempts. That was only 86 games, okay? But David Stern, president of baseball operations, says that Marte has come into camp in the best shape of his life. He says he worked extremely hard this offseason, played in winter ball, which prepared him well for camp. He's moving very well. Starling Marte, New York Mets right fielder, 13th year in the majors, still fast on the bases, and that's what we got. For the Phillies, here's a guy that Malpal actually brought this guy up to me a couple months ago in regards to the formula that he uses, which is ground ball percentage plus strikeout percentage. If it adds up to 70, it's a good chance a pitcher will have a good breakout. Now, there's other things to pay attention to, but that's the basic formula. Now, Christopher Sanchez fell into the Malpal formula, and he's ADP 269. He's age 27 now. He's made major improvements with his control and his command. He reduced his walk rate 3 straight years, went from 11.9% in 2021 to 9.6% in 2022 and 4% in 2023. He made 18 starts and 1 relief appearance last year. 3.44 ERA over 99 and a third innings with 96 strikeouts and only 16 walks. His ground ball rate ranks in the 95th percentile, and his chase rate was in the 97th percentile. His changeup was so good last season that opposing batters hit 148 against it. I love his fastball. It's 92.1 mile an hour average on the gun. And it actually ticked up a little bit this spring, but still 92, 93. You know how I love these guys. All right. He did, like I said, it went up a couple ticks, maybe a tick, 93, 94, whatever it is. He was able to increase the velocity and still is maintaining his command this spring. Christopher Sanchez, ADP 269, lefty for the Phillies. That is a target. Dave Dombrowski says that he continues to take the next step forward to being a quality Major League starting pitcher. He's listed behind Taijuan Walker in the Phillies depth chart, and you can give me Christopher Sanchez every day of the year, including Christmas Day. Okay? I'll take him. All right, the next guy, Washington Nationals, James Wood, outfielder, 21 years old, lefty bat, made significant adjustments this offseason, and he's hit 3 home runs this spring. Don't be surprised, according to Jim Bowden at The Athletic, don't be surprised if he makes Washington's big league team out of spring training. Mike Rizzo, says James is showing vast improvements in game preparation and routine. He's sharpening his exceptional skill at a rapid pace. Now, he plays left field, only. He doesn't play the other fields, and he could be the designated hitter. He would be, Eddie Rosario, Stone Garrett, Jesse Winker. These guys are all on the depth chart as the DH ahead of James Woods, but you know how it goes. If you hit, you get in the lineup, and it's not like the Washington Nationals have a ton of guys ready to be their DH. So James Wood, late round target, right? Real late, and he could make it out of camp. And if he doesn't make it out of camp, he should be up shortly thereafter. I wasn't going to talk. Get your pins ready. So some of these guys I'm not really going to talk too much about, but I figure I could let you know that they're on the list. The Cubbies guy is Owen Caissie, Caissie. Owen Caissie. 21 years old, lefty batter. He was the Padres' second-round pick in 2020. He was traded as part of the package for Yu Darvish. So, last year at Double-A, he hit .289 with 22 home runs, 84 RBIs, and 77 runs. So far this spring, he's 10 for 23. All right, scouts across the league are raving about him, but he's definitely going to start the season at Triple-A. He could force his way into the roster. Carter Hawkins, the GM of the Cubbies, says that he impacts the baseball like somebody 10 years older, and he has a chance to be a power bat in the outfield corner in the near future. All right, moving on, Cincinnati Reds, Julian Aguiar, Aguiar, right-handed pitcher, age 22, 12th round pick, 2021. He made 25 starts at between high A and double A last year, a 2.95 ERA, 138 strikeouts in 125 innings. This guy will not start in the majors. He's going to start at either double A or triple A, but depending on how deep you're drafting. Julian Aguiar, Aguiar. Bryce Turang, the Milwaukee Brewers. Was it you, James K., that said to stay away from Bryce Turang? He does play second base and shortstop. Or maybe that was George that told me that. I love James Wood. That's the first thing I thought of when I saw this kid. Okay, turd. All right, made me think, oh, good, we have another James Wood to root for. Okay, Terang is a Gold Glove caliber second baseman. Now, that's the thing with fantasy. You don't care about the defense. And Bryce Terang, his best asset is his defense. Last year, he only batted .218 with a .285 on base percentage. But, all right, he's on this list because we're talking about spring training. Matt Arnold, the GM of the Brewers, says that he was already a dynamic defender worthy of Gold Glove consideration and continues to get better defensively every day. He did work hard this off season and he's looked great so far in camp, but we're talking about what is he going to do for the fantasy community, and the thing is, he'll steal some bases, and he's guaranteed to get in the lineup because of that Gold Glove that he has, all right? But so far this spring, I don't know if you consider this great, but he's batting .182 in 22 at-bats, but he has stolen 2 bases. He's also been caught twice. So in 22 at-bats, this guy has attempted 4 steals, all right? We like it. He'll get you a handful of home runs, but again, he's a very late round pick. We decided we would make today Ke'Bryan Hayes Day in the chat room. Ke'Bryan Hayes is the Pittsburgh Pirates spring training standout, third baseman, 27 years old. Everybody's been waiting for this guy to break out. He did add some more power last year. He had a career high in doubles and home runs. Jim Bowden predicts 40 doubles and 20 homers.
He can steal bases, too.
He can also steal some bases. RotoWire projects him for 13 homers and 14 stolen bases. His ADP is 189. I suppose that's probably about that. You know, Ben Sherrington, the GM, says that he's been and is really important player for the Pirates. This spring, he's taken another step forward in his game on the field and taken another step as a voice inside our clubhouse. So 27-year-old Ke'Bryan Hayes, still waiting for that huge breakout. So far this spring, he's batting .368 in 19 at-bats with 7 RBIs, 3 home runs, and a walk. Thomas Sagisi is the infielder for the St. Louis Cardinals that's having a standout spring. We're not going to talk about him. He's a student of the game. He's taken as much time out. Taking as much out of his time in camp as possible. He has a good idea at the plate and understands who he is. He's a great with plate discipline. 26 home runs, 12 stolen bases, and a .306 batting average between AA and AAA last season. For the Arizona Diamondbacks, we have Alek Thomas, center fielder, stellar defense. We bring up defense because it gets you a spot in the batting order. His outfield range ranks in the 90th percentile. He had 9 steals in 10 attempts, and he played in 125 regular season games for Arizona last year, but he bat .230, and he got on base .273. Which was similar to his rookie season in 2022. He has the same elite defense, and he is listed as the number 1 center fielder, the starting center fielder. His ADP is 328. This guy should get in the lineup every day. He is projected for a .261 batting average with 12 homers and 10 stolen bases. So absolutely at 328, if you can find a starter that late in the draft, do it. Elihuris Montero, Colorado Rockies first and third baseman. Last year he only batted .243, but he had 11 homers and 39 RBIs. His WAR was negative, according to Baseball Reference. But this spring he's looked promising. He's played mostly at first base and batted .333 with 3 home runs, 8 RBIs, and the Rockies are hoping for a breakout from this guy. He's 25 years old. His ADP, 436. You better believe it. He's not going to hit for he is going to hit for power. He's not going to steal your bases. He's projected by RotoWire 255 with 19 homers and 1 stolen base. But you look at the RBIs, 73 RBIs at ADP 436. He also qualifies he plays first base. He played 55 games at first base last year and 12 at third base. So there you go. Moving on. Gavin Lux. Isn't that funny? We put Gavin Lux in there as a spring training standout, and boy, has he stood out, right? Anyway, he hasn't missed a beat offensively. He's only projected for 7 home runs and 5 stolen bases. I'm sorry, if that's the offense that you want to get him in your lineup, you're not going to... first of all, Gavin Lux, okay. He didn't play last year. He was hurt. He's having a strong spring offensively, 8 for 23 so far. He looks healthy. He's in, obviously, one of the best lineups in baseball. But if you're projecting only 7 homers and 5 stolen bases from this cat, forget it. 261 ADP. That's just horrible for that. I'm passing on every instance of Gavin Lux. The Padres' Jackson Merrill, who I also found out about from the great Padre insider Malpal. Jackson Merrill, left fielder, 20 years old. He was a first-round pick in 2021. His best chance of making the Padres out of spring training will be in left field. He's got ridiculous raw pull power. He uses the whole field with authority. Last year, between high A and double A, he batted .277 with a .326 on-base percentage, 15 home runs, 15 stolen bases, 64 RBIs, and that's what you got. So far this spring, he's doing great. He's holding his own. It looks like he is going to be able to learn to play left field, and if he doesn't start the season in the majors, he will eventually get there. There's no doubt about it. AJ Preller, president of baseball operations, as Malpal calls him, AJ Failer. Jackson worked really hard this offseason to be prepared for this camp. He brings an energy every day that is contagious, and it's been fun to see the way he has attacked the challenge of learning the new position in left field. Absolutely not even on the ADP. Jackson Merrill going to get some love for sure in San Diego this year. He plays center field and left field. He's fighting against Jurickson Profar and Jose Azocar. Okay, I guarantee this guy is going to play the majority of his games. Now, I can't guarantee anything, but I have little doubt that this guy is going to make his way onto the roster and be fantasy relevant early in the season. San Francisco Giants, Mason Black, 24 years old, four-seam fastball, 93 to 95 miles an hour. Last year, 29 starts between AA and AAA, 3.71 ERA, struck out 155 in 123 and 2/3 innings. His biggest problem is his command. He walked 52. All right, Pete Putila, the GM for the San Francisco Giants, says that Black is showing what he can do in this camp after making the 8th most starts in the minors the past 2 seasons. In 2023, he improved his command of his sweeper and added a shorter, harder slider. This spring, he has continued to refine his pitch mix by improving his changeup. So far, his ERA in spring is 5.40, and he struck out 3 in 5 innings. So it's a little early on this guy. He's not listed in the depth chart for the starting rotation, and by the way, there's 10 guys listed, so the fact that he's not listed really tells me that he's got a ways to go. Kyle Stowers, age 26 for the Baltimore Orioles, bats left, 6'3", 215 pounds, but the Orioles are so loaded with outfielders, including Santander, Cedric Mullins, Austin Hayes, Colton Cowser, Heston Kierstad. These are all potential outfielders, and they're all on the verge of contributing. So don't forget about Stowers, though. He is impressing. Last season in the minors, mostly at AAA, he hit .275 with a .388 on-base percentage, 21 home runs, 58 RBIs, and that just came in 258 at-bats. Now, he gives the Orioles flexibility to trade some of their outfield depth or could become a trade piece himself. He's hit 3 home runs already this spring. He's Mike Elias. He says that He says that Stowers has had some tough luck with an ill-timed injury in 2023, but he come into camp sharp and determined. He's made his swing a tick more efficient and has also been excellent staying in against left-handed pitching this spring. He's got huge power, and he's a great athlete with his whole career in front of him. For the Red Sox, the standout is Justin Slayton, a former Rangers prospect, age 26. Last year, between AA and AAA, he had a 2.87 ERA in 39 relief appearances and 1 start, with 86 strikeouts in 59 innings. This spring so far, he's pitched 4 scoreless innings with 4 strikeouts and no walks. He has a status as a Rule 5, which means that he needs to make the active roster or he will be sent back to the Mets. Craig Breslow, Chief Baseball Officer for the Red Sox, says this guy has been impressive. He has shown the ability to get swings and misses in the zone on his secondary pitches with enough on his fastball to keep hitters off balance. Hello, Laura. Great to see you, lady. What are you saying okay for?
Oh, I'm just talking to myself.
All right.
I think you did a great job.
Am I done?
It's up to you.
I still have some stuff.
No, I would.
I still have stuff.
All right. Go get them.
We have to at least get through. Did we already make it through? We made it through the National League. Mm-hmm. Now I'm doing the American League.
Let's do the American League tomorrow.
You guys, okay, so let me just do a couple more, and then we'll call it a day in about 5 minutes. So if you can hang tight, we'll do good. We got 25 people listening intently for late round spring training standouts. Let's do Jonathan Aranda for the Tampa Bay Rays, the 25-year-old lefty. Last year, he hit .339 with a .449 on-base percentage, 25 home runs, and 81 RBIs at AAA. He was promoted to the majors where he posted a .340 on-base percentage, but he didn't do much outside of that. So far this spring, Aranda has hit .375 and 16 at-bats. He's a power guy. He also plays all over the place. In the minors last year, he played 20 games at first, 46 games at second, and 14 at third. In the majors, he only played 11 at first, 4 at second, and 2 at third. But the point is, he plays all 3 of these bases in the infield. Eric Neander, the president of baseball operations, says that this guy is a gifted hitter with a great track record in the box. He's generated a lot of buzz in camp and is earning stronger consideration for a major league opportunity each passing day. He's 25 years old. Tampa Bay Rays, you know how they love to mix and match, right? They love the position eligibility over down there in Tampa. And his ADP is 529, and you better believe he's going to be on my team in this 50-round thing that we're doing. One more. Toronto Blue Jays, Alejandro Kirk, catcher. I've been liking this guy for a while. I know they still have Danny Jansen. I know that they will still use him. I know that Alejandro Kirk is not going to get everyday playing time, but this guy was an all-star and a silver slugger in 2022. He batted .285 with a .372 on-base percentage, 14 home runs and 63 RBIs, and last year he was not able to do that. He hit .250 with a .334 on-base percentage, 8 home runs and 43 RBIs, but I have to say he's coming to camp in much better shape. Best shape of his life. He hit 2 home runs in his first 5 games. They lost Matt Chapman last year in free agency, and they didn't add much other offense this season outside of Justin Turner. The Blue Jays, and I would say lots of fantasy managers, expect and really need him to have a bounce back year, but these are positive early signs that he's on a path to do that. He always has been, this guy was a highly touted catching prospect, okay? And he did not perform last year at all. I don't blame any of you for not wanting to draft him again, especially since he doesn't have everyday at-bats as the catcher. Danny Jansen is still there Alejandro has looked very strong this season, though, so far this spring. He focused this offseason. He took up routines. He went on a diet, all of these things. 25-year-old ADP 267. They're projecting a 263 batting average, 9 home runs, and no stolen bases, but I do think that's going to be high. Those projections are based on what he did last year, not based on what he can do. And that's it. So next, we'll either do these tomorrow or we'll do them one day this week when I fill in for Lenny. We can finish up these spring training standouts. And once again, I'd like to thank Jim Bowden at The Athletic for always coming up with some great stuff. The Athletic has great content this time of year. Of course, my favorite go-to place is RotoWire. They have every tool you need to win your fantasy league. What?
Change the clocks tonight.
Oh, and Lenny wants me to make sure you all know to change your clocks tonight. Spring forward, fall back. That means put your clocks ahead. Everybody, I hope you're having a great time today. Enjoy the baseball games, and we'll see you in the morning, Lady and the Legend. Thank you so much for joining me this morning, and have a wonderful day.